welcome more people in as we go. So welcome everybody. My name's Sarah Mears. I'm I'm program director for Libraries Connected. Job title's recently changed, I'm not used to it yet. So I'm really delighted to welcome you here today. I'm also one of the co-founders and chair of Empathy Lab. So I'm in both capacities today, which is quite exciting. It's always nice when my two worlds collide. I'm here with Chad Bentley from Libraries Connected, who's doing all the technical stuff. I'm also joined by my colleague Kirsten Grant from Empathy Lab. Some of you may know Kirsten from World Book Day days, but Kirsten's a consultant now and does amazing things with Empathy Lab, including programming the Empathy Day Festival. So we're lucky to have her here today. And also I have Sarah Smith from Brent Libraries, who's going to talk about Brent Libraries' plan for the festival as well. So just to say who's here, if you could just keep your mics on mute whilst the presenters are speaking, but please feel free to say hello in chat. And also, if you've got plans for Empathy Day, we'd love to hear about them. So do stick them in the chat, because we'll be really happy to follow up with you and find out how you did, what you did and what worked and so on. So yeah, any plans you've got for Empathy Day, please do share them. Also put any questions for any of the speakers in the chat, and we'll hopefully have 15 minutes or so at the end to answer any questions that you may have. And I'm sorry, Kelly, that you're poorly. That doesn't sound good, and thank you for coming when you're poorly as well. So I'm going to just make a start and share my screen, hopefully, all being well. That's always the biggest challenge, but hopefully that's coming through okay. So this is all about making the most of the Empathy Day Festival, and you'll notice it's called an Empathy Day Festival this year, not just Empathy Day. And the reason for that is we got lots of feedback from previous years. We talked a lot to ASCL colleagues and to YLG and generally to library staff and also to school staff, and they said, yeah, Empathy Day is great, but we don't always do the activities on Empathy Day. We do them in the week running up to Empathy Day or just after. So we thought we would actually respond to that and actually make it a longer festival this year. So it's a 10-day festival starting on the 2nd of June and running through to the 12th of June, which actually will be Empathy Day. So we'll see how that goes this year. We've been really lucky because we've got Arts Council England funding, which has really helped us expand into a festival this year. So just a really quick rundown of what happened last year. As you can see, we had loads of views of the Empathy Day live events over the live streamed events. We had an increase of 42% in registrations last year, and we reached 750,000 on social media and 43% increase in child participation last year. And hopefully that's a trajectory that we want to continue this year. Libraries were particularly supportive, as they always are, and we always like to call them empathy hubs, and you can see there's lots of lovely quotes from library staff there. Some of you may be on the call today, but really value the support that libraries give us every year. We've got a kind of plan to reach over 1 million children by 2026. So we've got this year and next year to do that in. So we're really considering how we increase every year to reach 1 million children by 2026. And why do we do it? Well, just after Empathy Day last year, you'll all remember that summer of all sorts of horrible things going on, unrest, racism. You know, we do live in a very divided community. 1 in 6 children, I think the last count, have mental health problems. We know that lots of children are sadly living in poverty, and you'll all be aware of all the kind of conversations that have been going on recently around boys particularly, and I really like this quote from Gareth Southgate about character being so much more important than status, and we really want to respond to that and think about how through our Empathy Day events and our books and our authors we can help boys and young men, support them to be their best selves, really, I guess. So I'm going to just move on the slide. So the other thing that's really important is our social and emotional learning, and we've just recently had this new report from the Royal Foundation, the Princess of Wales's Foundation, and she talked particularly about empathy. She talks about the fact that when we invest in children at very young stages of their lives, we're building a kind of an empathetic community and an empathetic future for ourselves, really, a much better, healthier society. So anything that we can do to support that through library activities is really powerful. Oh, sorry. And our mission, as it says there, is to raise that empathy-educated generation. That's what we want to do. And we do that through libraries, through schools. We're working with book suppliers, publishers, authors, and illustrators. And this is a final quote from me. This is from the Manchester event that we ran with Manchester Libraries, a big event last year, about a young boy who talks about empathy being a superpower. And these are some of our empathy resolutions from last year as well. So I'm going to hand over now to Kirsten, who's going to tell us about this year's Empathy Day Festival.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Sarah. So the theme for this year's Empathy Day Festival is jump into someone else's story, and that's to encourage everyone to take a moment to consider the lives and perspectives of others. So why is jumping into someone else's story so powerful? Well, if you haven't done much with Empathy Lab, here's the scientific evidence that our programmes are built on, and a quick refresher for those who are already familiar with our work. It's scientifically proven that empathy is a skill, not a character trait, and we can develop this skill at any point in our lives. In fact, only 10% of our empathy is genetic, and the rest comes from societal and environmental factors, which means explicitly teaching empathy, both within formal and informal settings, is absolutely vital in developing this key social and emotional skill. And we want to inspire children and young people to learn why empathy matters and how they can put it into action. Empathy Day creates a focal point in the year to celebrate the hope that empathy brings, and it helps us shine a light on the power of books and stories to build our empathy, most importantly. So we're really glad that you're here to be part of it. So what is the Empathy Day Festival? Well, it's 10 days of free empathy-themed activities, events and celebrations, and it's available to everyone across the UK and beyond. In previous years, we've had just Empathy Day, a single day, but as Sarah said, we've heard from participants that they were spreading activity across many more days to really make the most of the resources. And so that's why we've chosen to expand this year. But of course, it's absolutely up to you how much you decide to take part in. You can do Empathy Day just on Empathy Day, you can do it across a few afternoons across the festival, or join in every day. It's entirely up to you. And we're really keen to make people understand that it is a completely flexible programme that can work around you. And as you saw last year, 737,000 children and young people took part in schools, libraries, early year settings, bookshops and homes. And this year we're aiming for over 800,000 children and young people. So we're really delighted that you're here to help us to reach our target. And importantly this year, we're also hoping that settings will use the festival to especially support young people's well-being. We'll share more later on how our activities and events can help you with that. So what can you expect from us to help you run and plan your festival activity in your library? I can see some people already started planning your activities, which is great news, but we'll be exploring all of these in more detail this afternoon. So we have the Empathy Challenge, which I know you'll be familiar with, which is 9 fun and creative activities that you can use to connect reading and empathy. And they're yours to dip into or run with, and you can use them as you want to. And we've updated, based on feedback, we've updated some of those, so there are lots of new and refreshed challenges in there. We've got daily events with top authors and illustrators, which are available to watch on demand. We've also got some amazing live events with brilliant authors that you can tune into at specific times for cool interaction and empathy inspiration. And some of those are also going to be available in Welsh. And we've also got 3 webinars for adults with, in partnership with great organisations with experts discussing different aspects of empathy education and offering practical ways to put learning into place. And these are suitable for library staff, teachers, parents, basically anyone living or working with children and young people. And finally, of course, we've got our incredible toolkit full of ideas and all the digital and printable resources you need to make things easy for you to use. And if you haven't registered for those already, then you can gain access to those by registering to be part of the Empathy Day Festival at the Empathy Lab website. So let's dive in and get your planning underway. So the first thing to do is to save the date. The festival runs from the 2nd until the 12th of June, with Empathy Day itself on the 12th of June. And as I mentioned, you can take part however and whenever you want. In the resources, we have a handy planner to use so you can schedule in your activities and events. And there's no pressure to take part across the whole festival. It really is about making it work best for you. And because you're here, you probably already have registered. But as I said, if you want to share it with others, and we'd absolutely love you to share it, information about it within your wider networks, that would be absolutely wonderful. And then please share the link to encourage people to register via the website. And registering is a really important part of the process because it helps us to understand how many settings and people are taking part and to measure our impact, but also it means that you get access to all the resources and events. And then once you've registered, you'll be emailed links to the resources, so make sure you pin that email. And the festival will look different everywhere, and that's exactly what we want it to be. And once you've decided what your festival activity is going to be, then please add it to our interactive map so that families and schools can find out what's happening near them and be encouraged to come along if that's available to them. And we'd really love to be able to see and celebrate what everyone's planning for the festival. So do tell us and see what others are doing to help to inspire you too. So on to the programme. So every day of the festival, we're going to be releasing pre-recorded events with top authors and illustrators. Once released, they'll be available to view at any time on our YouTube channel for the whole festival and for a month afterwards. And each day we'll email everyone registered with a link to watch that day's events and a link for a preview for the following day, so you can see what's coming up the next day. So that means you can watch it ahead of time if you want to. There's no need to register for some of the events individually. Just follow the link and watch whatever suits you. And you can start and stop the films and go at your own pace. So there are going to be 8 Spark Empathy with events, and those are 20 minutes long and feature 2 top authors or illustrators. And the programme page on the toolkit shares the programme so you can see each day and what age group it's aimed at. And we've got an incredible programme lined up with Smritty Halls, Rob Biddulph. Sarah, can you help me? I just got a total blank on an amazing programme.
Yeah, I mean, there are as Dasu and Manon Stefan Ross, there's a Welsh Assembly with her. So yeah, just looking at an incredible lineup of speakers and authors all through the programme. So yeah, do check it out on the website because it's incredible. So.
Great, thank you. You've got a total mind blank there. And then we've got 2 events with the Children's Laureate Frank Cultural Voice. And the festival welcome event will kick things off on the 2nd of June. So that's going to be a very short welcome from Frank. And then the Empathy Day Festival on the 12th of June, which is one of the biggest activities that we do, and that's been growing every year. That's going to be filmed with young people in Spello Library. You'll remember that was the library which was badly damaged in last year's riots. And the assembly is a great chance to get the whole school thinking about what empathy is and how stories help us to see other people's points of view, and discussing how small acts of empathy can make a big difference in the real world. And then finally on Empathy Day, you can see the big share where we'll be showcasing what everyone's been doing across the festival, and you'll be able to watch that immediately after the assembly if you wish, or tune in any time that suits you. And the photos and videos that are shared with us across the festival will be featured, so watch out to see if your library gets a shout out as part of that. And then we're also doing some live events as well. So this year, we're super excited to be joining forces with 2 brilliant organisations to bring you some live events held at specific times, featuring brilliant writers and interactive elements. So for Welsh settings, we're joining with Esgol on 2 Welsh language assemblies. Well, they're Welsh, they'll be in Welsh and English, featuring award-winning writer Manon Stefan Ross, and they're going to be on the 2nd and the 11th of June, bookending the festival. And the first one will introduce what empathy is and set schools off on the challenge activities. And the second one on the 11th will celebrate everyone's participation. And then we're going to be having some resources coming in Welsh too. And then rounding up the festival is our big celebration event on the 12th of June, which is a live event in partnership with the NLT, led by 2 amazing writers, Joseph Coelho and Elle McNichol. And of course, Joseph was last year's Children's Laureate and author of the Luna Love series, amongst many others. And Elle is a beloved author of many best-selling and award-winning books, especially A Kind of Spark, which is now also an award-winning and Emmy-nominated TV series. And this event is going to be best suited for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3, although of course you're welcome to join with older or younger children if you wish. And we're inviting schools and libraries to join us on Zoom with your webcam on, although we appreciate that not everyone can do that. But the aim is really, as well as a brilliant event in its own right, is that young people can see all the other settings that are taking part in the festival and get a glimpse of the scale of our empathy movement. So do please join us for that one. And for the live events, just follow the instructions online to make sure you've signed up so you can access the link. And then, as I said, we're having three fantastic webinars, which are going to be free. And again, you'll need to register for these to receive the Zoom link. And as we also said, they're suitable for anyone who lives or works with children and young people, or who wants to find out more about these aspects of empathy. And we're so pleased to be working with fantastic partners on these. So with World Book Day, we'll be focused on how book chat can challenge tribal thinking. With Place to Be and NHS experts, we'll be considering how reading supports wellbeing and mental health. And with Auticon and Dr. Helen Dimitriou, we'll be discussing empathy and autism. So they're expert guests as well as authors at each of those webinars. And so I think they'll be really fantastic, and they'll all be held from 6 till 7 p.m. And they're just an hour long, will be packed with expert discussions and practical tips. So again, register to join and share with your networks, because they're a great way to get families and parents and caregivers involved. And then on to the Empathy Challenge. It's not just about the online events. There's lots that you can physically do in libraries, including the Empathy Challenge. So here they are. You can explore them on our website and via the resource links sent once you've registered. And the activities are split into three categories, which I'm sure you'll recognise if you've been part of our work before: read, connect, and act, which mirrors the way that Reading for Empathy works. And we read to jump into someone else's story. We connect with the characters' perspectives and emotions, and that inspires us to take action and make a change, whether big or small, within our family or our local community. And if you've taken part before, you'll notice some old favourites in here, like the empathy emotions maps, which everyone loves doing, the empathy resolutions, which are a key part of our Empathy Day activity, and then also the superpower glasses, which have been designed for us this year by the amazing Liz Pichon. And children absolutely love wearing the glasses, and we love seeing the photos of them wearing them too. And we've also got some new challenge activities which will keep you on your toes. So Empathy Post is a great way to share messages of hope and empathy with your community, or maybe you could consider what messages of empathy and kindness you'd like to send to some of our political leaders, and I'm sure they know who we'd want to send some empathy messages to, or those around the world who've been affected by war. Empathy Artists is a great way to use books to inspire art, drama, or music, and get lots of your school departments or local artists involved. And we're inviting you to do those based on the Empathy Shorts, which are a free 500-word short stories. But of course, you can also do it with any title that you're working on. And the Empathy Bookshelf is a super simple activity which can be done all year round, and that's us encouraging you to either draw your kind of like what would be in your empathy bookshelf, or alternatively take photos of stacks of books, or make displays of the books that you'd want to recommend as brilliant empathy boosting books. But the challenge offers you a menu of activities that you can use as you wish. And the challenge activities help to develop 4 key empathy skills. And this is our learning framework that underpins all of our programs. And you can see the 4 skills surrounding the white centre: perspective taking, communication, specifically listening to understand rather than listening to respond, building emotional vocabulary to understand and express your own emotions, as well as recognising the complexity of others' emotions, and finally, being inspired to take action, however small a step that may be. And on the outside edge of the framework are the 3 outcomes we know come from building these core skills. So active citizenship and student voice. We call this being an empathy activist. Through the power of stories, young people want to make active change to their own actions within their own immediate community, or become more plugged into global conversations. Reading for pleasure is obviously something we're all really focused on, and that increases because we can focus on understanding the characters, and that human connection engages children more readily, so they want to read on. So reading for empathy is actually a brilliant way into reading for pleasure. And finally, well-being. Empathy helps our social bonds as we become kinder and more connected, but it also helps our own emotional regulation. When we can recognise, name and share emotions, our mental health improves. So within the resources, you're able to see which of the challenge activities develops these skills. So back to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Kirsten. Yeah, and thanks so much for sharing all of that. And I should say, big congratulations to Kirsten because she's really done an amazing job with the festival this year. It was a bit daunting, wasn't it, Kirsten, when we suddenly thought, let's have a festival. And oh God, we've got to do something about this now. So yeah, so thank you, Kirsten. And I've been thinking quite hard about, how can libraries best get involved. I know that we've got all those lovely films that you'll be able to share or stream, but some libraries won't be able to do that. But there are loads of other ways to get involved. So do think sort of creatively about that. But I was thinking, first of all, there are displays. There's loads of downloadable resources for you to make really lovely displays in your library. So even if that's all you can do is make a display saying today's Empathy Day, that would be wonderful. Also use those on social media to create some really great social media posts. As Kirsten mentioned, the empathy bookshelf is a wonderful thing for libraries to do. You could get staff involved in choosing their favourite empathy reads, perhaps make a little belly band to put around it to say why, or a post-it note on it to say why it's a great empathy read, and encourage library users to get involved as well, sharing theirs and putting those on the shelf. Obviously, with a 10-day window, you could have some class visits in the library. Hope you will. We have designated 2 empathy rhyme time days, and in our early years toolkit, there are some ideas for rhyme time activities. So I think it's the Thursday the 5th and Tuesday the 9th, is it? Or 7th? No, 9th, yeah, 5th,
Um,
6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, yeah, Tuesday the 9th, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, or possibly, yeah. Anyway, it's the Thursday and the Tuesday. I know that's when a lot of libraries have their rhyme time. So please feel free to badge one of those as your empathy rhyme time day, and do share your rhyme time with us. We'd love to hear about that. Family story times. There is a weekend in that 10-day period, as you might expect. So we really wanted to put a weekend in there so that libraries particularly could do things with families and have a family event during that weekend if you wanted to. There are loads of creative activities as part of the Empathy Challenge this year. So, as Kirsty mentioned, empathy artists, just drawing or writing about a creative response to a story. Empathy posts is a lovely one where you could actually, print those postcards off and get children to share them with others, or just write their own messages of empathy and send them to someone else and draw their own pictures. We don't want people printing things off if they don't need to, but they're there for you to use when you need to. I know that what YLG are going to send an empathy post message to each of their regions. So think about maybe even libraries sending empathy messages to other libraries and other library users in other parts of their organisation. We've designed the activities so a lot of them can be done without staff intervention. So if you're a really busy library and you haven't got capacity, then as long as you can make a display that shows families why you're doing empathy activities, then you can leave some activities out over that weekend for families just to do independently if you want to. I'm also thinking, we've got a whole Read for Empathy collection, and some of those, particularly the young adult books in the Read for Empathy collection, will be very suitable for reading groups. So could you get the other groups that use your libraries involved in doing activities for the festival, maybe discussing one of the books from the Read for Empathy collection in the run up to the Empathy Day Festival? Or is there something that your knit natter groups can do to support the Empathy Day Festival? So just thinking about sort of creatively about the other groups that use your library all the time. When you register, you'll have seen that there is a main toolkit, but there's also an early years toolkit, and there will be a family activities pack as well. So do look out for those. Look out for the ideas from the rhyme time sessions, and early years storytelling to watch on demand as well. And in the resources, there is a planner. So if you need to, use that to plan your activities, then please do. So I thought I'd just quickly whiz through some of the resources so you can, if you haven't had a chance to have a look at them yet. So this is a poster that you can use for the empathy bookshelf. So if you want to label up your empathy bookshelf, you could use this. If you want to have an empathy chat, which is one of the challenge activities, then there are some ideas for having that chat in the toolkit packs. So this one is just an idea of questions that might be great kind of discussion starters. Really, you can cut them up, put them in a jar, and children and adults in pairs can take a question out of the jar and use it to start their empathy chat. This is the empathy post we were talking about. So several of the designs have been done by illustrators for previous empathy days, and we're using those as postcards. You can just print these off and use them to create your empathy message that children could give to maybe their grandparent, or to a neighbour, or to one class to another, or, as I said, one library to another, maybe even. So it's a lovely one to use. And this is one of our emotions maps from last year as well, with Gian Chebani's lovely emotion map. And it's about mapping the emotions you feel in a day and realising there's loads of different emotions that someone might feel in a day. You don't just wake up happy and end happy. You go through all sorts of emotions as you travel through your day. And it's about helping children understand the importance of recognising their own and other people's emotions. And this is an emotions map template, so that maybe families could do that together in the library, thinking about the day so far and what are the emotions that they've been feeling. And then this is a poster to support your empathy artist's work as well. And then this is the empathy resolution banner. So again, if you were having, say, a class visit or a story time in the library, everyone could end by making their empathy resolution, and you can either display those in the library, or people could take them home, or if you've got a class visit, maybe the class could take them back to school with them as well. So here are a few of the resolutions that we picked up from last year's Empathy Day. Oh yes, I'll just move on to that in a minute. But just please do share anything that you're doing for Empathy Day with us on our social media platforms. We're like magpies. We gather it all, and during Empathy Day and the festival, we'll be scouring those social media platforms and gathering all of the evidence we can to see what you're doing. It really helps us. And also, if you've got great ideas for what you'll be doing, or things that really worked after the event, please do share those as well, because we love to share those with other people. So yeah, do share everything you can. But I'm going to stop sharing now, because I'm going to introduce Sarah Smith from Brent Libraries, and Sarah's going to talk a little bit about her plans for the Empathy Day Festival this year.
Thank you, Sarah. Right, let me get the most tricky thing. Let me get my presentation up. Let me just go to share screen. Okay, I think we're good to go. Can you see that? Yes, excellent.
And thanks,
Okay.
Sarah.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Lovely to be here today to share with you some of Brent's plans, which I think will change as time goes on, because there's been some useful ideas that Sarah has already shared with us. So we'll build on what our plans are now. But here's a whistle-stop tour of what Brent will be doing. Okay, so first of all, we're just going to have a quick look at getting staff on board, then stock promotions, looking at what we're planning to do for our book trust story and rhyme time themed sessions. Also, we're going to cover events for invited school classes, family events for our festival weekend, and a little bit about publicity as well. So in terms of stock, you can see some pictures there. Our staff really get on board for this. I have an amazing development officer, and she is known for really investing in outfits to wear for empathy, not just for empathy. She was in a Christmas box for Christmas. So she really gets all the staff engaged when it comes to any opportunity for wearing costumes and celebrating books and reading. So you can see here pictures of some of the team, and there they are dressed as superheroes, and we've got our book displays there. And with that focus on awareness, acknowledgement, action, and advocacy. So in terms of promotions, we are really fortunate to have a marketing officer. So we were able, with a little bit of help from the Empathy Lab, to come up with messages that we wanted to send out with the hashtag theme. You can also see another of our development officers in her bathtub reading a empathy book. So what I have to say is I am blessed with a team that really embrace empathy. So for our book trust story and rhyme times, so we have 6 libraries, and the book that we've chosen is Kindness by Alison Green, with the wonderful illustrator Alex Chelfer, and it's going to be really kind of celebrating the importance of kindness and sharing that with our children under 5 and their parents and carers. And we're going to finish that off with making a kindness chain or a bunting chain, which we can then decorate around the library if some of the children are willing to leave them behind. A lot of them like to take home what they've created. It's actually quite interesting sometimes because you can see where the parents and carers really get in on the act as well, because they love that activity to be able to be creative. And of course, as Sarah has mentioned, the superhero glasses, which every year are so popular. And yeah, this year it will be the superhero kindness glasses. So moving on to class visits, we're looking at delivering 3 different activities over that 10-day period. So we would like to do something with our comic laureate, Bobby Joseph, who we discovered last year, and he has come and delivered a number of class visit workshops for invited school classes. So this is where he'll be using comic formats to be able to create openings for a story. And this is really great for children who might have English as an additional language, or where they are reluctant readers, because it's that combination of being able to use both art and text, and they can manage how much they input into the story. We also have the wonderful Daryl Stenville Wells, who has done a number of STEAM workshops with us. So that's STEM with the A put in for the arts focus. And her idea was to be able to do an empathy map. So a bit like mind mapping, but aimed at children in years 4 to 6. And she will involve both photo collage and painting as well. So a very involving workshop, because I think for anything, nobody wants it to be in a session where you're just being talked at or just one story after another being read to you. You need that active engagement as well. And Daryl is very good with that. Finally, we are going to have the author who is actually on the primary school list, Elena Avaralo Melville, and she's going to be sharing her book, Elkie is Not My Dog. And that particular story is about a dog who suddenly appears in front of this apartment block. And the children in the apartment block adopt this dog. But unfortunately, they're not allowed to bring the dog into their homes at all because the apartment block doesn't allow that. So it shows you the interaction, but also their concern when the dog suddenly disappears and they find the dog wounded a little distance away. And one of the activities that Elena brings in is, what does home mean to you? So you see the story through to the end and how they resolve the problem with the dog, but it raises questions about the importance of home. So for our family festival weekend, we're going to do a number of things. We're going to kick off with Luna Loves Gardening with the wonderful former Children's Laureate, Joseph Coelho. And the Luna books, there's been a number of books in that series. So it's lovely to have this particular one because it actually ties in with another program that Brent is running, which is all about celebrating and encouraging the local community to engage with nature and wildlife. So this is very apt for our Empathy Festival, Luna Loves Gardening. And we will tie that in with a creative craft activity, which is around flower pot creation, reflecting the importance of nature and wildlife and how that supports our well-being as well as raising our awareness. We will be inviting back our very favorite author, Margaret Bateson Hill. She's a published author, and we just love Margaret because it doesn't matter whether Margaret has 5 children or 60 children. She doesn't get phased at all. She does wonderful storytelling and then gets everybody involved in doing the craft activity. And that's great because it's less stressful for staff. Staff always get involved as well, but it's great to have such a flexible author. We will also have a drop-in empathy craft. And for this, one of my wonderful development officers has come up with the idea of an empathy tree where children can leave messages on leaves, flowers, and animals and attach those messages to the tree. So you can see an example there. As usual, we will have face painting, which is enormously popular. But the trick is, before they rock up to get their face painted, we say library membership. And then on top of that, we say, have you borrowed 2 books? So that's it to get them, because otherwise, you know, the message gets lost completely. So the bit at the end here, you can see our wonderful team here. They love it every year, the opportunity to join my officer, Wendy, and get dressed up. So here they are, being creative in promoting empathy. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sarah. I love some of the activities you've got planned, and I think when they get their faces painted, they need to make an empathy resolution as well before join the library, borrow some books, and make their resolution. It'll be a good thing. But thank you. That's really amazing, and I love the way you kind of integrate your regular activities, and I think that's what we want to do. We don't want to put extra pressure on libraries, but what you've got planned already, just integrate them and give them an empathy focus is really important. And use some of those challenge activities, make the most of the resources that are available. And thanks so much, Sarah. I should say as well that Sarah is one of the judges on the Read for Empathy book collection, and we thought we'd just share a little bit. Hopefully most of you will know about the Read for Empathy book collection, but we thought we'd just share a little bit about that before we open up for any questions or any plans. We really would love to know your plans too. So I shall just move back to where I was, hopefully. Yeah, so those were the empathy resolutions before, and just Read for Empathy book collection. So every year we publish a Read for Empathy book collection. That's not to say these are the only books that are there for empathy. We were having that discussion this morning. Any book can be an empathy boosting book if it speaks to that reader, but we do need some kind of criteria to choose a book collection. So at this time of year, we start to put a call out to any publisher to submit books for consideration, and we have a team of 14, we call them judges, they're really assessors of the books, and we assess the books against empathy criteria, and then we choose from the books that are submitted, we read them all and choose a collection. So this year we have 70 books in the collection. We have 40 books in the primary collection and 30 in the secondary collection, so roughly 3 to 11-year-olds and then obviously 12 to 16-year-olds, but with quite a lot of crossover books in the middle, as you'll see there. And I thought I'd just share some of the ones from this year, just so that you can see the kinds of books that we choose. So in the primary collection, we always have a sort of sub collection, which is about emotions, because emotions are such a key part of empathy for us. So we really love some of the books that are, especially picture books. They're always so brilliant for expressing and helping children understand emotions, and sometimes quite complex emotions that it's really hard for a small child to really get their heads around. So we all loved The Cat Who Couldn't Be Bothered this year, which is about a cat who just doesn't want to play. His friends kind of keep encouraging him to come and play, and he's just lying around. No, I can't be bothered. And they all get a little bit cross with him, but actually he's just feeling a bit sad, and that's why he doesn't want to play. So when they begin to understand that, they say, okay, well, we'll just sit with you and we'll just be with you. But also they think, yeah, we feel like that too sometimes. So it's about just living with those kind of emotions. You don't always have to be up and jolly. Sometimes there are quiet, sadder times. And I particularly love the grand total of feelings, because I think it can work for so many age groups, not just the very young children, but it's about a hotel where all the emotions come to stay. So sadness comes and joy comes and confusion comes. Any emotion can come and stay at the hotel. It's great for helping children start to kind of step into the shoes of those emotions and think, so what kind of behavior comes with those emotions? How do I recognize when someone's feeling those kind of emotions? And sometimes it's different behaviors with the same emotions. So it's a wonderful one for really exploring quite complicated feelings. And then thinking about our empathy skills, we have things like empathic communication, some great books for this, both in the primary and the secondary collection. Glasgow Boys, I don't know if any of you know Glasgow Boys, I'm sure some of you do. Fantastic book in our secondary collection. Again, if you want to understand the experience from the point of view of a young person who's care experience, then Glasgow Boys is a really powerful book. And then Grandpa Kumar is a picture book in the primary collection, which is all around a little girl whose Japanese grandpa comes to stay, and she's really worried because she thinks she won't be able to understand him, but they find a way to communicate. And then in terms of social action, which is obviously one of our 4 empathy skills, encouraging children to not just feel empathy, but actually do something about it in a big or a small way. Turtle Moon, wonderful book by the brilliant writer Hannah Gold about rescuing turtles, and non-fiction books about challenging racism and prejudice. And You Could Be So Pretty, again, a secondary book, which is just so powerful and just so relevant at the moment. It's about how it's a sort of almost dystopian novel, almost, but it feels very, very current, about the pressures that girls feel to be pretty and not to be not to be who they are, but to be something that society makes them be. So, and then this year, sadly, quite a few of the books look at the experience of young people experiencing poverty. So love Tom Percival's Wrong Shoes. It's a really powerful book. But then The Boy in the Suit is also a really challenging book. So yeah, some wonderful books there. And also characters experiencing all sorts of personal challenges like health issues, mental health issues, and yeah, things like Little Bang, which is set in Ireland, which is about teenage pregnancy and the decisions that 2 young people have to make. Again, some really, really brilliant stories. So I'll just stop sharing again for a moment because I was going to ask Sarah, Sarah as a judge, do you want to just talk about your experience of being a judge for a minute or two, Sarah?
Sure. It's the books all start coming in early summer, and there is that moment of panic when you sort of think to yourself, am I going to get through all these books in time? But actually, one of the great things is that it's a great way of keeping up to date with new books aimed at both primary age children and secondary school age children. So I always sort of feel a lot more knowledgeable, because otherwise you feel almost a bit like a fraud. You're working in libraries and yet you're not really up to date with the wonderful new books coming out. So what I find is that once I get stuck in, that's it. I'm fortunate that I've got roughly a 90-minute commute into work. So I do use that time to read, going to work and coming back. The challenge for me is when we have our meetings, it's how to whittle down the books, because we can never necessarily get full consensus on the titles. And but I really enjoy it as well. It just feels so worthwhile. And each of us has our own particular favorites that we really sort of try to ensure get included in the collection. I mean, the great thing as well is that it covers so many different themes. Working in Brent is a very diverse borough, so it's important for us that the collection reflects the wide diversity in Brent, but also taking account of other issues that affect young people. So, you know, around depression, bereavement, weight loss, health issues. Those are just some of the other issues that have crept up. And as an adult, you develop empathy. Empathy is not something that you are born with, as Kirsten has said. This is something that you develop, and your awareness improves all the time in terms of building new knowledge, but also being able to talk to other people, you know, within libraries, but to parents, friends, just being able to share with them issues that might not have been considered that we know young people are going through. So I welcome the experience. It's an opportunity to develop my own knowledge, to be able to build my own awareness of the importance of empathy, but also to be the type of person that can then spread that message and involve the team. And I'm really fortunate that in Brent Libraries, I have a wonderful team of officers led by Wendy from my team, who really engages in empathy, and she gets frontline staff as well as officers involved. So that's just a whistle stop update on the benefits, but it's, you know, I actually feel quite privileged to be involved and to have been asked to be part of the team for judging.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so and also I should say that we have a team of judges who are with teachers, librarians, school librarians. Teresa Kremen is one of our judges as well, so some sort of children's book expert. And I see Heather's just asked about how you get involved in being part of the judging team. So we've actually just closed a call out for applications, unfortunately, Heather, but do look out for them, because we may call out for more at some point. And we had to close it early because we had something like 37 applications for 2 vacancies in our judging team. So it's something that obviously people are really keen on, but so we do want to think about ways of involving people more in that process, even if they, we can't take all those judges, but ways of involving people. So if you are interested, do let us know, because we've got all sorts of thoughts about how to make the most of that passion and interest, and because reading for empathy is at the heart of what we do, and that's why we have a festival that's full of authors, and there's all that scientific evidence around the power of reading for empathy. So if anyone's got any questions about the festival, or about the book collection, or just generally about empathy, do stick them in the chat. I can't see any at the moment except people telling Sarah what a great festival she's got planned. But we'd love to hear your plans. Kirsten, I was going to ask you a question actually, well, just in case anyone else hasn't got a question, but which is about, why do you think authors, I mean, you do have a really good success rate in getting authors involved. Why do you think authors want to get involved in the festival?
I think authors, like everybody else, are kind of, they can see what's happening in the world around us, and they're really keen to help to sort of help children to navigate through those issues. So I think that's a really key element. And then also, as I said, I think, seeing that reading for empathy is a different way into reading for pleasure, because we know that the reading for pleasure stats are the lowest that they've ever been. And so everybody's just trying to, think of, fantastic ways of encouraging children to read. And so this is just a different way of doing it. And so obviously I think they're deeply passionate about that as well. So I think those are 2 kind of like really key reasons why they're, so supportive of us.
Yeah, because we are lucky to have people like Frank Cottrell Boyce willing to get involved, and just to do things for us, aren't we? So we've been really fortunate, I think,
Yeah,
over the
very
years,
lucky.
and people like Joseph Coelho, who's just such an amazing support for everybody, I think, involved in Empathy Lab. Karen from Northern Ireland, would you be able to tell us a little bit about your planning? I just saw that you're deep in planning.
Yes, so Libraries and I have been involved in Empathy Day now for about 5 years, and it's sort of built and built. Last year we piloted an online session. We had an illustrator in residence who was based in one of our libraries, and he delivered a story time and draw along session. And we had over 1,000 children from across Northern Ireland zooming in on that day, which was fantastic. And we have built on that. We have delivered a couple of other online sessions, so we're hoping to do the same again this year. We're just waiting on budget confirmation. Once we get that, then we have got a lovely local author who has a really good track record in the sort of well-being and positive mental health area. So we're hoping to get that on board. We will be promoting all of the empathy resources to all our branches across Northern Ireland. And we'll be creating some of our own as well. We have what's called touch points throughout the year, where we contact our primary schools through the Education Authority And so 3 or 4 times a year, we'll pick a topic and we will promote libraries activities and events through that. And Empathy Day is going to be one of our touch points this year. So we will hope to reach all the children across Northern Ireland. But, you know, we'll see what the pickup is, but we certainly will be attempting to contact through the primary schools in advance of Empathy Day to make the schools aware of what's happening with your own resources and then also our own.
Yeah, well, fantastic. That sounds amazing. Thank you for that, Karen. I know when we saw your figures coming through last year, Kirsten and I were like, oh my goodness, is that real?
Yeah, no, we were so delighted with it last year. We did even better on World Book Day this year. So we're hoping that we can continue to build on it. So yeah, that's been a really great model for us.
Brilliant. That's so good. Yeah, really good. Yeah, thank you. So I think, has anyone else, if no one else has got any questions now, obviously you know where we are, do questions. To get hold of any of the resources, if you haven't already, then do go onto the Empathy Lab website where you can sign up to get any of the resources. You can also, if you look on the Empathy Lab website, you will see the Read for Empathy book collection as well, both the current collection, the 2025 collection, but also you can access the previous collections. So sometimes I know people really like to access the previous collections to look at particular themes that they may be pulling together book lists for or anything like that. So yeah, and Kirsten, thank you. She just put the sign up in the chat. So do feel free to sign up if you haven't already, and then you'll get access to all of the lovely resources. And
just to say, actually, sorry, just to interrupt, so Sarah, that we're doing sort of early bird registration, so we've got lots of great book prizes up for grabs. If either kind of you would like to win them or you'd like to encourage local schools to win them as well, including a couple of class sets of Frank Cultural Voice book. So so we've got some fantastic prizes as well. So if you do that before the 16th of April, then you'll be entered into a prize draw to win.
Just 8 days left to do that, so thanks, Kirsten. Yeah, so yes, do sign up. Do the Read for Empathy book collections are available from your usual book suppliers. So Peter's always really supportive. Askews and Holt's have been brilliant this year as well. So do, if you're interested in looking for the collections, do talk to your usual book suppliers. But unless anyone else has got any further questions, I can't see at the moment. It's hard, I'm just scrolling through, but we will share this recording with everybody as well. So we'll stop the recording and yes, send you the link. So please do share it with any colleagues that may have been not able to join today but wanted to join. And yeah, we will look forward to seeing what you come up with for Empathy Day. We're very excited for this year's festival. We will really be appreciative of feedback. You can get a badge, downloadable badge, so for sending in your feedback to join the festival. But because it is the first year of the festival, then we really do want to hear what you thought this year, whether it worked in this format, so that we can start planning for Empathy Day Festival 2026 as well. So yes, so thank you very much for participating, and just let me just see what messages are coming through. So yeah, that's great. Thanks very much. And and we'll let you go. And thanks to Chad for letting everyone in and supporting the webinar today.